Well, welcome. This is the Mojo Monday Zoom call. I'm Robert, one of your co-hosts, along with my big brother,
Jim Rhodes. It's going to be an exciting call. Can't
It is going to
wait.
be exciting. Jim's up in
St.
sometimes
George, Utah.
sometimes snowy and most of the time sunny. St. George,
Correct.
Utah. I'm down here in Texas, and it's a pleasure to be with you tonight. So we have some great stories lined up. I'm gonna share my screen for a moment, just to kind of tee the call up for everybody. And we have a disclaimer as well to get going here. So let me, Jim, can you give me an audio check that you can see my screen?
Totally good.
All right, we're
Looking
good
good.
to go there. All right. Good stuff. Again, this is the Mojo Monday. So welcome. We're going to share some next level stories tonight from individuals. Oh my goodness, who many of these individuals feel like it's Christmas now year round. So we're in for a treat as we hear their heartfelt stories tonight. Get my technology working here. So Zalevo, it derives from rising up people to their highest potential, including ourselves. And we're providing these beautiful formulations to help all of us do that and live lives of high level service. So we have 4 testimonials tonight. Jim, it's exciting what we have in store. Just a little promo here.
Absolutely. We're doing gut health tonight, which is all health starts in the gut. You got a healthy gut, you probably got a healthy body. Then we go to kids' health, brain health, optimal hydration and recovery. And then really one that affects me, healthy joints, since I'm the old one in the group here.
You're the whippersnapper. Yes, we got
Thanks.
some great calls lined up. And
We do.
again, you'll see more and more topics unfolding as we go into the spring and summer as well, guys. So we want to welcome you. Jim, you want to touch on this? We don't have to go into depth.
Absolutely. Our disclaimer is we are not doctors, so we don't diagnose, prescribe. We deliver food, which gets in the body and does the magic of the nutrition that's within that food. And these formulations are loaded with the thing that's missing most, which are those minerals, and a way to get them into the cells so that the body can do its regeneration right and deliver excellent results for all of us. We're going to hear some of those stories tonight. I know each of these 4 people, and I am so excited to hear their story on how these formulations have affected them.
All right, so we got 3 live stories, and one lady happens to be out of the country, so we're going to go to her pre-recording in a moment. So our first story lined up for you guys is just a lady who's full of passion. Anybody agree that this lady's Kathy Horn is full of passion? I think that's probably an understatement. And she's a part-time personal trainer. She's a full-time income earner, number 2 income earner in all of our beautiful company here in Zalevo internationally. She was one of the pioneering ladies who got this whole thing started. And she's had some great transformations and impacts in and around her digestive and gut health. So Ms. Kathy Horn.
Hello, thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yes, please.
So Kathy, I know you've been on, could you kind of tee us up for how long you've been on the products, maybe how you were introduced, and then what were 2 or 3 things that you were looking at and challenges you were having with your gut?
So actually, when I started the products, I've been on the products since they were launched. And when I started the products, believe it or not, the shake, I was doubled over in pain with the shake. And it really had nothing to do with the shake. So I'm glad, right? We need to be educated to that it wasn't about the shake. It was about what was going on internally in my gut. And I was being coached by the best, Kirsty Cody. And she said, just knowing the symptoms I was having and how I was feeling and how healthy I am in general, she said, just give this a few days. And it took every bit of a few days for my body to calm down. And then it got to a point where I just wanted more and more. So the shake, it just took a few days for my body to calm down. But it's been over a decade now that I was on a very intense protocol of high antibiotics.
Mm.
And I was on probiotics, but then these weren't formulated then. I wish they had been. And it just destroyed my gut biome. And I'm sure I'm in my late 50s. I'm sure that all just years, right, of things have just messed up my gut biome. And it's interesting because I always thought we just were supposed to feel gassy and bloated all the time. And after taking these products, I mean, it took several months to really calm my tummy down. And when I added the collagen to the mix, it really changed the game for me. And I do take my collagen at night with the 2 biomes. Now my stomach is so calm. My pants fit better. This girl's happy. But I think I notice it now when I have a food that's going to cause some gas in my body. I'm like, oh, whoa, I forgot what that felt like. I think sometimes we don't realize how good we feel until we don't. And my other experience was we went camping and I forgot my collagen, but I had my biomes and it's still not the same. I really like the combination together. And so it was only 3 days, but by the 4th morning, I'm like, I need my collagen for all the things. So that together at night before I go to bed. And sometimes I mix the burn mode with it as well. And I just sleep so amazing and my tummy's happy now, and which in turn makes me super happy. But it feels good to feel good.
It shows too. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Kathy, and thanks for being so transparent. How many appreciate her just candid transparency? Because again, sometimes this dense nutrition your body has to adjust, doesn't it, Kathy? So
it does.
Yeah, well, you're a living, breathing example of that, and it's just awesome to see you on this journey. And you've had some other, we can go into a whole call with you, but we'll have to do more calls. I'm sure you'll be popping in on some of these other topics that we're bringing to the table, Kathy. So I know you have a hot date with your incredible hubby tonight. So go have fun and give Michael a big hug, please.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, her hubby is a public servant. He's a police officer, and we're very proud of what he does as well. So thank you. All right, Jim. Now we have a gentleman who we initially met from up in Canada, our neighbors to the north, and now he's stateside. And this gentleman is on a mission to bring more light, to bring more just goodness to the world around him. He's a very successful entrepreneur already. He's now an avid pickleball competitor as well. And that all being said, he had some things happening in his gut and digestive system. And thank goodness now to Zalevo, he's found some solutions. So currently he is up in, I think in the Vegas area, the Nevada area. So let's see if Adam is there with us tonight.
Greetings, Robert. Hi, Jim. Can you all hear me?
Adam. Welcome to the call.
Thank you.
We can hear you loud and clear. Yeah,
my honor to be here tonight.
It's great to have you here. I think you're meeting up with Jim face-to-face tomorrow as well.
Oh, what a treat that's going to be for me.
Well, I know he has a tournament that he's participating in. So he's not just a teacher, he's a principal player, and he's bringing it to my beautiful city. And I can't wait to meet him in person tomorrow and watch him play. So I'll try to record a little bit for each of you, but I am anxious also to hear his story and what's happened in his life since the Zalevo products have been introduced to you, particularly around the thought of gut health, because I believe all your health starts in the gut. So with that lead in, can you kind of share how you got introduced to the products and what you've seen and come from and where you're at now?
It's my pleasure, Jim. Absolutely to share that with you. I'm not somebody who had a particular problem. I was in pretty decent health, and then an outside force influenced my life, and that was a car crash. Somebody was nice enough to crash into me in my car. They hit me sideways, and they told me the seatbelt saved my life, but it tore up my gut. And I ended up being taken in by by Sarah up in Canada. Always be grateful for that. But what I found out along the way is my gut was not good. My trying to get healthy again was off. It was way off. As a matter of fact, I came to the conclusion, thanks to Kirsty's suggestions, that I might not be digesting the food I'm putting in my body. Could you imagine that you have all this food, you go out of your way to eat this nutrition, and during COVID it was even more challenging. And then Carol came along, and Barbara came along, and they introduced me to Zalevo, and mimics the story we just heard. I was drinking the shakes and it would make me more gassy, so gassy that you could hear me coming and going. It wasn't pleasant for the people who are around me. I'm just going to be candid, quite honest. My body was doing things it wasn't real happy with, and I was not happy taking the shake at first. But once I committed to taking the daily and taking the trim daily, things started to change. And this was I remember it well. It was August of last year. It was the beginning of football season. And by the time we got to the end of the year, my gut was back on track. My health was back on track. My pounds were melting off me. Could you imagine going to the gym and working out and it being ineffective because your body wasn't processing the nutrition you were putting into it? I'm so grateful to Zalevo for helping get my gut back in order. And then when I would put in the things like Fortitude and the Ultra as a formulation for after I was working out, boy, it made a difference. I watched the pounds come back on. They told me I had two choices. I could have back surgery, or I could prepare my back muscles in a way that would hold me up strong and keep me erect, and use muscles where the injuries to my bones would substitute it, would take over for it. I made a full-on commitment to that, and I don't think I could have done that without Zalevo. So I'm very grateful that you came out with the performance products. I've been taking that for about 3 weeks now, and I can't wait to put that on the pickleball court tomorrow. But that my gut health is just so much better. I've been traveling on the road, and I can't imagine what it would be like if I was taking those antacids 5 or 6 times a day like I was a year ago.
Wow. It's so neat to hear an athlete who had an athlete's body then go through this accident and try to recover from that. And it totally makes sense that especially if you're on antibiotics for a while, going through all of this transition, you have to rebuild that biome in your tummy to digest your food. And then what that trim is a probiotic, and what that daily is a probiotic that just rebuilds and populates. And, it obviously showed up.
Jim, I love that you used those words. I didn't realize how opposite they were. The antibiotics and the probiotics.
Oh,
The antibiotics destroyed my gut biome, totally removed it. And I needed the probiotics to rebuild it. Thanks for using those words.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. It's quite remarkable. And welcome back to athletics, and not just doing little, but a lot.
Well, hopefully this time tomorrow, I'll have my first ever pickleball medal in hand.
Yay, let's go for it.
well, we're all cheering you on there. Thanks, Adam, for being on this journey with us. And yeah, you bring so much to all of us, by the way, guys. Adam is again, a ray of sunshine, lack of a better way of saying it. He brings so much light to the world around him. Thank you, Adam, my friend. Cindy, if you're okay with this, I'm going to pop over and do this little pre-session that we did with Sandy, and then have you kind of end us out here in a moment. So guys, this next lady is just a beautiful soul. And my goodness, we kind of go to the other part of the spectrum here when it comes to gut health. So let me share my screen again. Jim, I'm going to have you give me an audio check that you can see my screen again.
Yes, right on.
We're good to go? Okay.
Yep.
Good. All right, guys. So here is Sandy Tomlinson. She's up in the Utah area, and here is her heartfelt story. It's part of it, she says it's kind of awkward talking about it, but it's something we all do. So enjoy the story here.
Hi, my name is Sandy Tomlinson, and when Robert asked me if I would tell my story, knowing that we're going to be talking about gut health, I was grateful to be able to tell this story because this is actually how I got started in Zalevo. I broke my leg and was in traction for a number of weeks and unable to put weight or move around or exercise or anything for a number of months. And in that time, I had been taking things for the discomfort, but it was doing a number on my digestive system, particularly my bowels. And this is kind of an awkward topic, and it's not something I've shared with very many people unless they've expressed to me that they have the same problem. But by the time I was to a point where I could move around, the damage had been done. And the doctors ended up, long story short, having to take a section of my colon and sewing that back up together again because it was so diseased that it couldn't be healed. At that point, I went through another 5.5 years after that with so much discomfort, stomach discomfort. And because this is a topic that's awkward, I will just tell you that I never had regular bowel movements. And you hate to talk about poop, but that's exactly what it was. I was on one end of the scale to the other and never knowing if I was going to have diarrhea one day or constipation. And not only that, I never knew when it was going to hit. And so I was constantly looking for bathrooms no matter what we did, because this interfered with my family life. It interfered with vacations. It interfered with all the fun things that we like to do. And it was a real problem and a miserable existence, honestly, if you want to know the truth. Then after about 5.5 years, I found Zalevo, and I had never been more ready to try something. And so I did. I started with just the shakes, and the Ultra 30 shakes. I could tell within the first week that the feelings that people should have, that they know when they're digesting food or when they're ready to have a bowel movement, those feelings were coming back, and I hadn't had those, remember, for 5.5 years. It was all a big guessing game for me. It was trying to stay ahead of that. But after the shakes, after 30 days of the shakes, I had not only lost 20 pounds, but my bowel movements had returned to normal. And that doesn't just happen. That just doesn't happen. So it was very gratifying to me. And I am so grateful that I started taking every one of the products. And I will never be sorry that I started that. It was actually the best thing that could have happened to me in my life and my health.
Wow.
Yeah. So imagine not knowing. And you see, hopefully you saw it was an emotional part of the story. Yes. When she talked about how it was so unpredictable, she had to work her life around that unpredictable aspect. So, wow. Yeah. All we can say is, wow, Jim, all that story.
It's so true. And speaking for her, it took 30 days for her to get there.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because that Ultra 30 shake is so loaded with nutrition, it takes time to build up the biome, the friendly bacteria, to break it down and start to replenish everything that's going on. That's why if you're coming off a regime of an antibiotic particularly, and or on lots of other meds, you're going to have a little bit more flatulation and all of those things until the good guys get in there and do their job.
Good point. Yeah. Again, by the way, if you're on one of our calls for the first time, just recording or live, we go into the deep science of any subject you're hearing tonight on other calls. So tonight we're just teeing a few things up with these stories. So and there's a ton of calls that even Jim right here. Jim has been in nutrition for 50 plus years now. So a wealth of knowledge. I love you, big brother. So now we're going to go over to another lady who's just, again, another ray of light in the world around her. Cindy Talley is over on the West Coast in the not far from Joshua Tree there. And her daughter both have been on quite the journey, very emotional journey from early on with her daughter. And then I haven't heard even more about her own story, but here is Cindy Talley, beautiful lady there. So welcome, Miss Cindy.
Hi. Thank you for having me. And these stories are amazing. Boy, Sandy's story, that was wow. Just like you guys said, that was amazing. I'm a registered nurse, so I deal with a lot of people with a lot of illnesses and things like that. And so, my daughter and I say the whole family really, have been on a health journey for many, many years. And I've always been looking for the best nutritional products to put into our family's body just to help. And we've seen some really great successes and taken some really great products over the years. And a couple of years ago, we were taking, some really great products, but still, had a lot of issues going. And I was not looking for another company, but all of a sudden this one just came by me during one of my quiet times in the morning. And that's why I say it was a God thing that brought me to Zalevo. And I'm so glad that I took the leap of faith and got on a phone call, and I learned about the amazing nutrition and the minerals and everything in these products. So we got our family started, and I got my daughter started. She struggled with stomach issues where her body attacks different parts of her intestines. And she just has been in extreme discomfort and had a lot of issues. And she was the main person that I really, really wanted these products for. And within a very short period of time, definitely in the first month, we started noticing some changes, just everything. And it was just so, just her being able to wake up and not feel nausea, to go to bed without having discomfort in her stomach, just different little things like that were happening. And then long story short, over the next 3 to 6 months, her entire life changed. Her, even her mental, status, everything. She was just happier. She was more alert. She was working harder. She was just doing more in the day than I'd ever seen her do before. And now she holds a full-time job. She's in ministry after that till wee hours, works out a good hour every day. And I'm just like, is this my daughter? Like, I can't even imagine what a big change these products have made in her life. And it all started in the gut, especially with the shakes and the biomes. Like, those were the two main things. And then my story is that I used to have the gut of steel. I used to be able to eat anything. Grew up in New Mexico eating green chili and red chili and all that good stuff. And then I'm in my 50s now, but in my early 40s, I started going through that hormonal change in life that us women go through. And during that hormone change, a lot of things change. And besides, the different things that happen with hot flashes, skin changes, mental fog, sluggishness, memory issues, one of the big things is your digestion. It slows down. Some of the enzymes you used to have no longer are there. And so I started seeing every single symptom of that popping about, and it was not fun. And so I used to eat a meal, and I used to eat salads every day. I fix salads for our family for every dinner, different types of salads. And I used to get where I could not even eat them anymore because my stomach would bloat and it would hurt. And just everything. I was needing enzymes before every single meal. And then along comes the Zalevo shakes and probiotics, and started putting that in my body. And within a very short period of time, I realized I'm no longer taking the enzymes. And I started researching the ingredients more, and there's enzymes in there. So there's pre and probiotics in the shakes. Plus, we're getting in the most amazing probiotics in our body through the daily and the trim, which I was taking, and I have been taking all along. And so as long as I continue that, and like Kathy said, you don't even realize how bad you had it until you have that and you eat something that you shouldn't eat. All of a sudden you get that bloat and gas and burning in your stomach again. And, I just don't have that hardly ever anymore. And so I'm just so thankful and grateful that I took that leap of faith, a very big leap at the time. Now I'm just like, what? I had some great products before, but these are the most amazing products on the planet, way ahead in the science about anything that I've ever seen before or put in my body or my family's body. And I love to recommend it, to everybody I know, because I just want everybody to experience what we've experienced as a family on these amazing products.
Thank
Wow.
you, Cindy. It certainly shows in the glow of your very face. That
Oh,
was amazing. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Especially being in the world you come from, career path wise, there's a lot of people turning to more traditional quick fix answers versus holistic, sustainable answers. So yeah, thank you for being open to that and kind of rewriting a whole new legacy for you and your loved ones. Thank you, Cindy. And for those of you interested, we have the full interview with Cindy and Jesselyn live. Jesselyn had to work tonight. That being said, feel free to reach out and we can show you where to find the full interview with these two beautiful ladies, her and her beautiful daughter. So, wow. So how many times I'll try to stop saying wow, but I guess we'll keep saying it here. So it truly is a blessing. It truly is a blessing, isn't it, guys? To have something that we know works, and it works for, again, across the ages, across the chapters of all of our lives. Speaking of that, next week, next Monday is Kids Health. We'll be bringing up several kiddos and or their parents or grandparents onto the call to share some insights. Jim, our time is up. Any other closing thoughts on our topic and these stories tonight?
The body is the miracle. Give it what it needs. These probiotics and this shake we've been talking about, the Ultra 30, are a miracle of themselves, of nutrition, that when they deliver it, the body responds with these kinds of miracles in mind. And thank you all for sharing. This is incredible.
It is incredible. Thank you for all of our guests tonight. It's all unmute and do two things. Let's unmute and then we're then a 1, 2, 3 and then thank. And you can say, if you want to say Kathy, Adam, Cindy, and Sandy real fast, but reach out to the thank. We do want to especially thank Kathy, Adam, thanks for being on here. Miss Cindy, love you. And we'll make sure we thank Sandy here virtually as well. So the first thing is the thanks and gratitude. So 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy,
Thank
Kathy,
you.
and for your great story, Bert and Jim.
Appreciate the
So,
sharing. Thank you,
Right.
everyone.
Right.
Love you
Guys rock.
guys.
Thank
And we
you.
love, I know it may seem corny to some, but I love this core value. It's called Force for Good. Jim,
Force
go
for
ahead.
Good.
Jim, go ahead.
On 3, we're going to say force for good. And if you like to lift your hands like I do, join me. 1, 2, 3. Force for
Force for
good.
good.
Love you
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
You are
Everyone.
definitely a force
night.
for good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
call. Thanks,
Thanks,
Robert and
guys.
Jim.
This
Good night,
was great.
everybody.
Great call.
Thank you. God bless.